Hello everyone, welcome to this Adobe Animate class. So as you are already aware of that an email has been communicated to you how to download this software into your laptops. So after installing, a brief guide has been already given to you how to install this Adobe Animate into your laptops or desktops. So once you have downloaded this software, you will be able to see this icon, that is Adobe Creative Cloud, on your desktop, or either it's your laptop or a computer. So double click on that. So you will be looking at this interface where it will talk about the installed softwares like Photoshop, Illustrator, Animate, and so on, rest of the things. So today we are going to discuss about Adobe Animate. So first of all, we have to know or understand why we use Adobe Animate. It is used for frame by frame animation. It is used for web animation. It is used for web banners and advertisements, flash games, and much more. So let us continue with this one. So you have to click on open. So the interface that you might be using in the lab, and this one is the latest version, so there will be a slight difference in the organization of views and everything. So here it talks about the splash screen once you have opened the Adobe Animate. So here you can see different pre-default setups or layouts already given to you. That first of all is the full HD. The second talks about the Android version where you are having 16:9 ratio. Then you have banner. If you want to create a banner, you can create that one. Then you have iPad, that is third and fourth generation. Then you have canvas and so on. So let us start with the first one, full HD. Okay, so here we have our scene. So this white background is called a scene or canvas or stage where we are going to do our animation. Okay, on the left hand side we have different toolbars like text, rectangle, square, and so on, paint, brush, and so on. Then on the right hand side we have the tool properties. Okay, like what settings we want to use. For example, if we want to do any profile that we have set, we can check with more profile like flash, swc, and other formats, like if you want to create a jpg, gif image, and so on and so on, as the quality of audio or video stream that you want to include in your application. Okay, now if you look over here, the document settings, it talks about the stage width. So it talks about the stage height and width. So if you want to change, you can easily change it by clicking on top of it. And if you want to change, like for example, like 1200 by 600, something like that. But I'm not going to change over here, so I click on the escape button. Then you have different other settings that you want to use over here. Okay, like if you want to change the color of the stage, so you can click over here and you can change the color of the stage. Now this is the important thing, like over here we have frames or the timeline. These are called the timeline, and over here it is distributed on frames, so it is frames per second. Okay, so normally we have 30 frames per second. So as a human being, we process 24 to 30 frames per second. So if you look at your desktop or laptop monitors, or the LCD screen or TFT screen, whatever you are using, if you look at over there, it is talking about megahertz. So 60 megahertz is the normal refresh rate of your monitor or your laptop screen. Okay, so in frames per second, you multiply by 2, so it will be 120. So as a normal human being, we are looking at 120 frames per second, and which gives so much strain to our eyes. So when we talk about having uh, the animation, so you have to talk about or make the animation that is easily viewable or visible to human eyes. So that's why we normally go between 24 to 30 frames per second. So if you want to create an animation for 1 minute, so you can easily calculate that. Let me open the calculator so it will be easier for you to understand. Like, if you want to create a 1 minute animation, so that means 60 seconds, and we are using 30 frames, so that means we have to use 1800 frames for our animation. So if we are making an animation of 30 frames, that is equivalent to 1 second. So you have to adjust how much animation or how much uh, length of the animation you want to create. So this is very important. Okay, so here is the layers. So layer concept is quite important, because see, when we are making an animation, we make the character, we make the objects, so we don't want to overlap all these objects, so we can use the layer concept. So as we go on, you will able to understand or see why we are talking about the layers. Now we talk about over here. Okay, so you might understand the frames, timeline, and now we are going to talk about key frames. But before going deeper into the frames and everything, I have to discuss an important thing that is called the objects. As I discuss about objects, Adobe Animate works on vector-based objects. So there are two types of objects, vector and raster. Raster talks about pixel by pixel image, whereas vector-based objects are made from mathematical equation rather than pixel as compared to raster. This means every shape you draw in Adobe Animate can be scaled without losing the quality. So when you are making a raster image and you are working on the raster image, you have to be very careful, because if you make this image or object bigger or smaller, the quality will lose. But that's a good thing, like Adobe Animate works with vector based objects. So whatever object you create, when you are making it big or small, it doesn't affect its quality. Okay, so when we talk about Adobe Animate, it talks about animation. So what are the types of animation that we can do in Adobe Animate? It provides several ways to create animation and special effects. Each method provides you with different possibilities for creating engaging animated content. Okay, for that we have three. One is called motion twins. Okay, so using motion twins to set properties for an object such as position and alpha transparency in one frame and again in another frame. Animate then interpolates the property values of the frame in between. Motion twins are useful for animation that consist of continuous motion or transformation of an object. Motion tween appears in the timeline as a continuous span of frames. So as we were talking about, these are frames that can be selected as a single object by default. Motion twins are powerful and simple to create. The second one is the classic twin. Classic twins are like motion twins but are more complex to create. Classic twins allow for someone specific animated effects not possible with span based twins. Then we have shape twins. In shape twinning, you draw a shape at one specific frame in the timeline and change that shape or draw another shape to another specific frame. Animate then interpolates the immediate shape from the frames in between, creating the animation of one shape morphing into another. So if you right click on these frames, you will able to see classic, motion and shape. The fourth and the fourth type is convert to frame by frame animation. This animation techniques let you specify different art for each frame in the timeline. Using this technique to create an effect that is like frames of a film being played in rapid succession. This technique is used for complex animation where the graphic elements of each frame must be different. So as we were talking about frame rate, okay, so you have to be specific how much time, how much duration you want to create an animation, and based on that you are going to create this animation. So Adobe Animate uses timeline based animation. So first thing is the keyframes. Okay, so keyframe indicates the content. Over here is the keyframe. Content has changed at this point in time. Frame repeat the content to the last keyframe. And there's another option that is called blank keyframe. These are empty keyframe with no content. So these are some basic things that we want to discuss and we are going to use most often. So thanks for sticking with us. We'll see you next time. Masalam. Hello everyone. Welcome to this Adobe Animate session. I hope you are all doing good, staying at home and keeping you safe. Now today we are going to talk about the two types of animation. As we already discussed about the twinning and frame by frame animation. So there are two types of animation. Twinning, we provide the computer with a start and end point, then the computer generates the keyframes in between. Frame by frame animation talks about traditional animation where images are placed one after another to give the illusion of movement. So today we are going to talk about this twinning method. So let's do the start. So first I'm just going to use a simple bounce of a ball, so you will able to get the understanding how the animation can be. So I'm going to make a ball first over here. Okay, so this is my ball. So here if you double click on this layer, so you can change the name of the layer. So this is my master layer. You can, okay, so space are not permitted, so it will make as underscore. So if you look at, this is the starting point of my animation. So I want to make an animation of 1 second. Okay, so I'll be using over here 15 frame. So here I'm going to create a animation for this ball. So if you look over here, it says insert keyframe or insert blank keyframe. So as you know that we want to use the start and end point. So for that you have to use insert keyframe. Okay. So if you look over here, the animation is having a dot and a line. Okay. And you will able to see a dot at the end. So a black dot at the beginning frame with a black arrow and blue background indicates a classic tween. A dashed line indicates the classic tween is broken or incomplete, such as when the final keyframe is missing. A black dot at the beginning of the keyframe with a black arrow and a light green background indicates a shape tweening. A black dot indicates a single keyframe. Light gray frames after a single keyframe contains the same content with no changes. So over here, if you look, we have no changes. So these frames have a vertical black line and a hollow rectangle at the last frame of the span. So in some places you will find a small a indicates that the frame is assigned to a frame action with action panel. A red flag indicates the frame contains a label. A green double slash indicates that the frame contains a comment. A gold anchor indicates that the frame is a named anchor. So these are some terminologies that you will be able to see again and again. So now what I have to do is I have to move this ball from its starting position to somewhere over here. So if you look at over here, the starting of my keyframe, okay, so this is my ball. So I want the starting of the ball from at the edge of this screen. And at this keyframe, I want the ball should appear over here. Okay, so I do the placement on these keyframes. So if I go back over here, this is the starting of the ball and this is the ending state of my ball in the animation. Okay, so now what I will do, I will right click over here and I will click classic tween. So now you can see the arrow as you were not able to see before. So the black dot at the beginning of the frame. So this is the black dot at the beginning of the frame. Okay, and with a black arrow and the purple background. Okay, so different version is having different colors, so don't be confused over here. So now this is the ending position of my frame. So if you want to see this animation, just click enter. Can you see this? Because it says half of a second, so that's why you can able to see the ball is moving very fast. So if you want to make the movement slow, you can add more frames or you can split this animation. So it depends upon how you want this animation to be like. But this is the drop of the ball. I want to make it bounce. So at the 30th second, okay, I want my ball to be coming on the top of that stage or canvas. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to right click over here and insert keyframe. So now you look that from where we have started, we are again on the same kind of timeline. So now I want this location of this ball to be over here. So this is the beauty of Adobe Animate, that we don't have to click frame by frame. We just do this animation with a very simple clicks. So just right click it and create classic twin and press enter to see how the animation will look like. So can you see this? This is the starting of the frame, and in the end it will be like this. So there are some shortcuts that you can use in order to create the animation. Okay, so now what we are going to do, we are going to save the file. So now the file will be with the extension of FLA. So this is my first animation. So if you look over here, I have file that is being saved over here as first FLA. Okay, so this is a recover file that by default Adobe Animate have created. So now I have to see the output. So for that, you can just click on Control and Enter. So it will generate an output screen for your animation. So now you can see the canvas and the animation, how it will look like in the real animated form. So now I'm going to close this one and I'm going to go back over here. So if you look at over here, it is by default it has created an SWF file. So what is this as SWF file? This is shockwave flash file. So if you are creating web pages where you need animation as a banner or an advertisement or something like that, you can just embed this SWF file into your web page and you will able to see this animation, flash animation onto your web browser. So this was the basic classic twin that we have learned today. So in the next session, we are going to explore something more. So in order to make you understand how this Flash Animate works when you are going to create different kind of games or endless possibilities. So thank you very much. Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about the classic twinning example. So we are going to dig deeper and we are going to look at how we can make a good animation. In the previous session we discussed about making an animation and it was for using classic twin. So for this one, what we are going to do is we are going to create an animation. Okay, I don't want for this, I want for example 800 by 600. Okay, so if you look at this, when I make my canvas smaller, more thing you can able to see in the canvas. Now what we are going to do is we are going to make an animation with carom board. So first, for making a carom board, I will be needing pictures. So be careful. You can use internet, search for the picture, but please use free and open source. Don't use any copyright pictures. Please remember that thing. So what we are going to do is we'll go to Google and we are going to find out carom board pictures. Okay, so here we can find different pictures over here. Let us see this one. Okay, so I'll copy or save image. Okay, and I am going to put it in my advanced multimedia folder. So okay, so I have done this thing. So now it is very easy, but first I have okay, so I have downloaded this picture of carom board. I'm just going to drag and drop and paste it over here. So it is taking time, maybe the picture is big, so we have to wait. Okay, so now if you look at, I have dragged the picture onto my canvas or the stage, and the size of the picture is smaller than the canvas. So that's the beauty of vector images. So if I can move, drag, drop or resize it, so the quality will not over here. So if you look at over here, okay, so the shortcut is Control K for align. So we have these properties, align to stage. So you can use these different properties if you want to. So I have done this thing, okay, and I want to align it like this, okay, so distribute properly, okay, distribute vertical center. So depending upon that, you can do that. So if you have different options over match width and height, okay, so it will match the width and height of the carom board. Okay, so this is my carom board. Okay, so I have used this. You can use the different features or different pictures, so or you can use the different size of the canvas, so it will be easy for you to fit in this image. So first thing, I have to rename this as master layer, okay, and I will lock this layer because I want to create an animation on top of my this layer. Okay, so now you have different other options, like over here you want to add a new layer, delete the layer, show all layers, outline, and so on. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create another layer. Okay, so this is my carom. Okay, So what I'm going to do is over here I am going to, for example, this color, and I will make a object of carom over here. Now I will make another layer. Okay, so here we have black. So I will again make this object over here. Let us make this, but I want to change the fill. Okay, to black. Okay, so I will make this black, and I will make another layer as black 2. Okay, and this one again I'm going to make another. So if it is better, I'll use the same Control C, Control V. So I will have this. Okay, so if I want to see, this is the problem that I have done is over here, this one. This one I need to make separately, and over here, okay, not visible. Okay, this one I'm going to make another black over here, and I will move the location over here. Okay, perfect. Or I can make a little bit space over here. Okay, so this is if you hide and unhide, so you will able to look over here that what are my animation. Okay, now if you look at the timelines are already made for this animation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the striker, hit this carom, and one will go on the left hand side pocket and one will go on the right hand side pocket of the carom board. So now how I'm going to do that. So if you look at this timeline, okay, so for example at 1 second, okay, so this is my master, so I'm not going to touch this one. So this one, this is my carom. So at 30th, okay, so I will going to go and insert the keyframe. Okay, so can you see this? Because I have already locked this one. Okay, so it will not able to be visible. So either you can copy the same or you can do it on separate. Okay, so if I'm going to choose this one and on 30th frame I have put the keyframe, so you will not able to see the master layer. So what I'm going to do in this scenario, so over here what you can do is you can click Ctrl Z, Okay, so 30 frames, just select all the 30 frames because all the 30 frames. Okay, and on the current layer just right click, insert keyframe, and I want the location okay. For making this, what I'm going to do, I'm going to select all the keyframes and insert keyframe. On this one I want the carom ball to come here, and then right click, create classic drawing. So I'm just going to see this one, but here because I have clicked on the classic, and that's why it is not coming. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make it over here, the last position. Okay, and then I click and create classic twin. So now you can see the animation. Okay, what is the problem? Okay, so if you are going to work on all the layers together, you will find yourself problem. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove frames. Okay, so what happened? Okay, oh, okay, let us go back on the. Okay, so this is our final position. So on 30th frame, just right click and insert keyframe because we want this over here. These two also we need. Right click, insert keyframe. Now here at this stage, okay, so we want our keyframe over here, but we want our striker over here. So what we are going to do, we are going to select it, right click, action twin. That's done. So similarly at 60th I'm going to insert a keyframe. Okay, now I don't want this carom striker to go, so I want this over here. Now if you look at the 60th, I'm going to insert a keyframe, and I want my black 2 to come in this pocket. So I will right click, classic twin. Over here I'm going to insert keyframe, and over here I want my carom over here. So now